Food. Oh, such an important part of life. Who doesn't love a delicious meal or a chance to have their favorite things? Well, there's one food out there, one of my favorite things that maybe some of you haven't tried before in its raw form. That food is the artichoke. That's right, a raw artichoke might look imposing, but once you steam it for a couple of hours, you get two delicious treats. First, the leaves that you slide along your teeth to scrape off the delicious artichoke meat. And then you get the best treat of all. You get a fresh artichoke heart dipped in butter. God's food. There's nothing better to me than a delicious artichoke. Have you tried a raw artichoke? I think you need to make that plunge. Welcome back, gentlemen, to the Penultimate Show. It's me, your host, Bork's Championship Rib, and I'm sitting here taking a look at our leaderboard, and I cannot believe the parity that we see. Take a look at it. Amazing. We've got 11 teams that are at 2-1, and we don't have any teams that are at 3-0. That has never happened before in the 4 years of the Penultimate. What an exciting time to be in the Penultimate. And it made me think about something. It made me cast my mind back to a show from the 60s, I think it was, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. And of course, I'm a little bit too young to have watched that show when it was out in prime time. But I had the treat, maybe some of you did too, of watching it on Nick at Night, back when Nick at Night was doing some rerunning of shows from the 60s and 70s. This is, of course, during the 80s when I was watching television as a kid. And there was something on Laugh-In known as the fickle finger of fate.
Well, once again, folks, it's time for that suspenseful moment when we find out who gets the Flying Fickle Finger of Fate award.
And who gets the Wicked Weenie tonight?
The fickle finger of fate is out there looking, searching, and you never know where it's going to land. Just take a look at this week's matchups that just happened in week 3. You've got matchups like this one with the thick moon of the werewolf getting a victory with 70 points. That's the fickle finger of fate right there. Or you take a look at this other matchup right here. These guys scored 340 points between the two of them. And you lose scoring 160 points. You see what I'm saying? You can win with 70, but you can lose with 160. That, my friends, is the fickle finger of fate. And taking a look at that matchup, the person who scored over 180 points, once again, this week, Willie's Really Weary. You, my friend, are indeed the winner of the $15 for the second week in a row. Congratulations. Big victory. You've already won $30 back these last 2 weeks. You are cooking. Speaking of that fickle finger, one other matchup happened to have been affected by that finger, and that was my matchup with the Shame Wagon. I thought I was done. I thought there was no way Joe Burrow could do what I needed him to do. And then that fickle finger of fate played its card, and boom, I squeaked out a victory against the Shame Wagon. Shame Wagon, he's got a message for us. Actually, he's got some help, if I'm not mistaken, because this is going to be a rough season. Things are going to happen. I think we need a little therapy. A little shame therapy.
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Quite stylish.
Well, hello, gents. So good to see you. Shame-based therapy from the Shame Wagon. It feels appropriate, feels good. Now, before we get started, let's just think about how important it is to better understand shame versus guilt. They're not the same. Now, this is my definition, Shame Wagon. So let's think about this. Shame is what you feel when other people see it. Guilt is what you feel like when no one else is there, you feel it by yourself. You poop your pants, no one sees it, you feel guilty about that. Now, you poop your pants in public, that's shame, right? Perfect. So it's really important to think about how shame can be an asset. If you can be fueled by shame, then simply acknowledging it and ripping it open and showing it to the light of day every day, well, that makes you a stronger person. And so I'd like to start out by honoring me, the Shame Wagon. I had everything I could, like everything you could have asked for in terms of the draft. So many draft picks loaded up in the rounds that like we're going to have a lot of high value targets, right? And I left with nothing. And I dropped one of the people. I mean, it's been awful. Swift, Laporta, not good so far this season. I still have faith in the Lions, but here we are. So my hope is that we become more aware of both shame and how powerful it is. And that weekly I'll be finding the shame in other people's games, in addition to my own, and talking about it. Right now, I'm dealing with Laporta-itis. It's not good. I hope it gets better. I'm drinking 3 waters a day. Now, back to you. Best league in the world.
Hey, baby, I hear the blues are calling. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Quite stylish.
I never really thought about that, Kessler. The shame and the guilt, and the difference between the two of them. The only thing I know is I'm guilt-free getting my victory against you last week. I'll thank the lucky stars. The gods were shining on me, and here we sit. I'm one of the many teams that is at 2-1. Now it's early. Those teams that aren't in the 2-1, it's early. Anything can happen.
That macho madness is really a hip type thing. Cannot be denied. High altitude and coming down on danger zone.
Over in Pick'em, same thing happened. Look at the top of that leaderboard, and Cousin Ryan holds on to it. It's really interesting this year, the Pick'em, with the confidence points and where you place those high value matchups. I think that the general trend is you use the high value point confidence with the matchups that you think are just going to be a lock. There are no point spreads in Pick'em. And Cousin Ryan, you stay at the top of the board.
You've had your warning. You've had 2 warnings. And now this time you're hurting bad.
I'm looking forward to seeing this week where the fickle finger of fate flies.